Welcome back, one and all, to the podcast. That is the Morphing Tower podcast. The podcast that is different every episode, no matter how hard you guys try to make the same episode. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Stop asking for us to redo the episodes. It's really weird and just confusing for me, and it's never going to happen. I have with me a memo. This is from, let's see. Oh, this is from our old pal Sleeper, which I haven't heard anything from them since the audio tape that they left for us in the tower. It says, as the cloud of birds continues to grow, noon grows darker here in the Gladwell building, day by day. Those window washers are putting up a good fight, but they'll need something more if they expect to win. Don't worry, I won't abandon you. Signed, Sleeper, which... man, I feel like the more information I'm getting from Sleeper, the more confused I am about what's actually going on, which I feel is like the opposite of what they intended. But all that aside, I am joined today by a very special guest. I am joined today by a YouTuber I discovered over the past month or so, or a couple months actually, HazelPlace89. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello there. I would like to thank you for having me on. Welcome to my utility closet in the middle of the building.
Yeah, I was wondering about this because, like, I went in here to get, I was looking for a very specific paperclip. I'm looking for one of those, it's a 0.5 paperclip.
Okay, right.
And I also was looking to find a 1/4-inch Swedish Revolution tack as well.
We're fresh out of the second thing that you want, but we have paper clips out the wazoo. They're all on this wall here, as you can see.
Oh yeah, wow.
We have some up here. We have some down below.
It's so organized.
We have squiggly paper clips. And what is this talk of windows? There are no windows in my closet here. Everything that you would ever need is in this windowless room.
Yeah, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? This supply closet just stretches on. I can't see the end of it.
It is basically forever. We specialize in, I must say, re-gluing the back of sticky notes, you know. But as you can see here, we have a multitude of rows of various paper clips. We have orange paper clips. We have the shiny silver paper clips. We have paper clips that look like small woodland creatures.
Wow.
If you need to like post a memo in the forest, you could definitely do that.
Okay. Noted. Well,
it's a pun. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. I totally meant to do that. Well, obviously, I've been following your Cities Skylines playthroughs of both like the first and second game.
Yes.
And so today, when I was trying to come up with things to talk about or things of interest, I did a quick search online because I was wondering legitimately, like, what are some of the fastest building projects that have ever been undertaken?
Ooh.
And so I found this article that I can pull up on the terminal.
Yes.
And essentially what it boils down to, the article itself is by Infernio, and it is titled World's 5 Fastest Building Construction Projects.
Ah, yes.
So the first one on here is Mini Sky City in Changsha, China. The Mini Sky City in Hunan Province, capital of Changsha, was built up from the ground by Broad Sustainable Building, a prefab construction company using a modular system by assembling 3 floors a day. The skyscraper touched the clouds with 57 floors in a record time of 19 days.
Oh, wow.
The project is spread over 180,000 square meters with a mixed-use function. Stands as an example for using less material and significantly reducing air pollution. Mini Sky City houses within 19 atriums, 800 dwelling units, an office area apartment for 4,000 people. The construction was considerate about its structural safety and can withstand high-magnitude earthquakes. The prior fabrication of building components started 4 to 5 months before construction at the site, which is just... so that first one is just insane to me. It's like 57 stories in 19 days.
That is that's real good turnaround.
Oh yeah.
Like from beginning to end, you're less than 3 weeks, and then you've housed at least 800 families, right? At least 800.
and it kind of like it's giving me Fallout vibes, but not in a bad way. But like we have this one building. I mean, if you're gonna go for density, you can pack a ton of people up more than you can pack them sideways in regards to like building and infrastructure and things like that. But that's a really cool, interesting feat. And this is like have you seen the video on like Instagram where there's a bridge? I think it's China that builds a bridge overnight, and they're like done with the project in less than 12 hours. It's something insane like that. So like kudos.
Overnight?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
It was insane. And I'm sure that they've done it right if their building there can withstand earthquakes, because I feel like the area is probably prone to them, but that's especially being that high, just a small little quiver can make it wiggly.
The speed record would be a little bit less impressive if they made it out of popsicle sticks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we constructed this mighty building in 5 hours, and then a stiff breeze takes it down. That would be bad. There's also on this list, I won't read all of them, but the last one on the list is the fastest house built in Shelby County. So Shelby County Habitat for Humanity on December 17th, 2002 broke the then world record for the fastest house ever built. That is in 3 hours, 26 minutes, and 34 seconds.
Wow.
The house of 12,000 square feet, which included 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, were completed with electricity and plumbing.
That's insane.
How?
I feel like in recent memory, people get like the pre-built panels, and so a wall of a house is like assembled off site. They bring it back to the site, and then they put it all together. But I feel like that is like 2002. I'm not sure if that was prevalent back then. Also, 3D printing houses. Have you seen those?
Yeah, that's like a huge aspect of this article is just talking about like all the prefab stuff that you can do and like prep beforehand. But yeah, the 3D printing of like structures, that's going to be insane to watch that technology like develop. Like when you think about even just like AI stuff within the past couple years, good or bad, I'm more neutral on it. But the fact of the matter is, once public interest got behind AI, it just like developed in leaps and bounds, like so quick. So I feel like once the public views like 3D printing houses in that same light, and companies are talking about it, and like it'll be on social media, I feel like that technology is going to evolve super quick.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's already some really solid use cases for 3D printing, especially in like medical arena. Like if you want to quick mock up like a prosthetic or something, you could 3D print it, or in dental, if you need to like model out like a mold for like dentures or teeth or something, you could 3D print it. And we all know like hobbyist level 3D printing's been a thing for a long time. But like even stuff like metal printing, I mean, it's a different, like with the buildings and with medical grade 3D printers and with metal 3D printing, I feel like it's a different grade, obviously, than consumer, like here in my office kind of situations. But like the possibilities, like with the technology, we're getting really technological with a lot of stuff. Like I can see, like you're saying, I can see that buildings, 3D printed buildings, prefab buildings being even more prevalent than they are now with how accessible some of these technologies are becoming.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in honor of National Sewing Machine Day, everyone's favorite holiday, we're going to play everyone's favorite game on everyone's favorite part of the show, real or fake sewing machine brands. All right. I'm going to have five either real or fake sewing machine companies.
Okay.
And at any point, if you want me to give you some facts about them, I can, if you're wondering whether or not it's real.
Okay.
Are you prepared?
I am. I just need to forewarn you that I am, in fact, an expert on guessing if sewing machines are real or not. So keep that in mind.
Well, that sucks for me, doesn't it? All right. Round one.
Yes.
Mogulsby sewing machines.
100% true. That's it. That's the thing that exists.
It's fake.
I said I was good at guessing.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say that I was good at being correct.
Oh, you're so right. You did say that, didn't you? All right, get round 2.
Round 2.
National Sewing Machine Company.
It sounds fake. It sounds like that should be a cartoon character, but I'm going to go with my gut and again say that one's legit.
You are correct.
Winner.
The blurb here says, once one of the biggest names in manufacturing, National Sewing Machine Company, which is the most boring, just unhelpful names, operated out of Belvedere, Illinois, and made everything from toys to washing machines. National Sewing Machine Company. It sounds like AI generated now. Started out as the FT June Company, making the adorably named and very popular Jenny June machine. Interesting.
Awesome. They make toys. Could you imagine if they were like, here's our new gaming console by the Sewing Machine Company.
Dude, that's so, like, I've thought about that sort of stuff where the companies just, like, make a hard turn into, like, some other random field product that they have no business making just because they just sort of pivot. They're just like, well, the sewing machine industry is going down. What would be insane is, like, Xbox or PlayStation, if they suddenly made a hard turn into making sewing machines randomly.
Yeah, right.
Just like, well, we've lost the console wars. How do we spice it up?
Again, guys, diversification into knitted goods.
Xbox versus PlayStation sewing machines, like who can sew better stuff?
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Okay, round 3, Grover and Baker Sewing Machine Company.
That sounds real, but because I've guessed real in the last 2, I'm going to say that it's not real. That is made up.
Do you want any facts about them?
I would love some facts, yes.
Okay. This company, Grover and Baker Sewing Machine, are also credited with making the first portable sewing machine, a model that was self-contained in a box.
I actually kind of know about the box sewing machine. Is it too late if I want to? So I could change my answer if I wanted to, but I'm a man of principle. So if I change my answer, what does that say? I'm going to change my answer and say it's true.
It is true.
Let's go.
After a devastating fire at their stockroom and a financial panic in 1873, the company had to close its doors.
It's like, let's take our sewing machines and portabilize it. So if you need to sew somewhere else, you totally can. I like it.
Stinks to be you guys. I have the new wireless sewing machine. All right, round 4. Yes. Royal Ettercraft sewing machines.
Ooh.
And again, feel free to ask me any details about these potential brands.
I would like some details about this particular brand.
Okay, so Royal Ettercraft was originally created by Reinhard Ettercraft, who's from Stuttgart, and basically he got grandfathered into making a lot of clothes for royal families. It became like this very niche thing where like his clothing brand and his sewing machines were associated with like the top levels of people in society. Makes sense. So like a lot of very fancy schmancy people and people in royal families would go to him because to have like Ettercraft sewn stuff and to have like an Ettercraft sewing machine was like a big deal.
Could I ask the country in which this company was founded?
Sure, yes. Stuttgart is in Germany. Stuttgart, Germany.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go with the 4th round. I think I'm gonna say that one's a fake.
You're correct. I made it up on the spot. Well done.
Yes.
And then round 5. Crispin and Farley Fine Stitching Limited.
Ooh. That kind of, it's not related, well, it could be related to sewing machines and stuff, but I'm reminded of Chris Farley and all of his comedic ways.
His antics.
Actually, yeah. I'm gonna go and say that one is also not real. That one's made up.
You are correct. Well done.
Let's go.
Well done.
Say, what is that, like 4.5? Because the one technically,
4.5.
I mean, I'm good with that.
We have to celebrate National Sewing Machine Day.
Let's go.
The website I went to, because whenever I'm like trying to come up with fun games and stuff, I'm always curious to see what these ridiculous websites cite as being the holiday that today is.
Yes.
And the number of holidays that were today is actually insane. Like, there were so many of them, and National Sewing Machine Day just seemed the most unhinged and random, so we went with that one.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, and I've never used the sewing machine, but I have knitted a couple of scarves in my time. Not even kidding. And
I got
wear
into crocheting when I was in high school for a very brief time. I was terrible at it, but I tried.
I had this plastic loom I picked up from the department store, and it came with this little metal needle, and I made a scarf because my mother decided she was going to try knitting out, and I was like, I want to do that. I'm in college. I got nothing to do. I could learn, right? I could do homework, but I'm going to make this fancy scarf. So I bought like 200 yards of yarn. That's an exaggeration. I bought a lot of yarn though. And then I taught myself how to knit. And I actually still have the scarf in my closet, and I wear it in wintertime because it's like super thick and really soft and lush. I like it.
That's really cool. I want to... that should be on my short list of things to do in life, is knit myself a scarf.
Yeah. I think learning how to sew would probably be just a good life skill anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just never really... It's not a bad skill to know how to do. Like, what if you need to, like, sew a patch in your jeans or something? Did you have the ability to do that?
I can do some like rudimentary hand stitching, because there's been a couple instances, like you said, over the years where like something happened where like I needed to be able to stitch something, or like in Scouts, if one of my patches came off because like the adhesive was crappy, that you like iron them on. It's really weird. You heat it up and it's supposed to stay on, but a lot of times it would just fall off over time with use. Right. So I just sew that puppy on there and just do it myself, basically. But, well, taking a hard turn from the game into the more Q&A portion of the podcast, I wanted to ask how you got into video games.
Oh, that's a good question. So it all started years ago.
On a stormy night.
On a stormy night, in the middle of the forest. I'm just kidding. So whenever I was growing up, really, I wasn't really. Video games were kind of frowned upon in the house. They weren't really mainstream when I grew up. Like, it was like in my house, at least, friends were getting, the Xboxes and the PlayStation 2s, to kind of tell you how long ago this was. But like, I never really did any gaming so much when I was a kid. I think my first gaming console that I got, I had already, it was maybe 2012, 2011. I had graduated high school. I was working a job, and a buddy of mine had a PlayStation 3 for sale. And so I bought a PlayStation 3. Before that, I would go to my friend's house and we'd play like Tony Hawk on the PlayStation or whatever. We'd play you remember the Lord of the Rings games on the PlayStation 2? We'd play those. Those were fun. We played Lego Star Wars a ton.
Oh, that's a good one.
Then when my sister, her boyfriend, fiance at the time, came down to live the summer with us, and he had an original Xbox, right?
Oh.
He had an original Xbox, and he and I played through the Halo 1 and 2 campaigns. So I would say like the Halo 1 and 2 campaign was my first real, like, I'm actually gaming kind of moment. But that was 2009, 2010.
Gotcha.
It was a while back. But like I said, I bought a PlayStation 3. I got really big into Battlefield. Bad Company 2 was my first real online multiplayer experience. And then Battlefield 3 came out, and I switched over to that. Me and my buddy got really good at Battlefield 3. And I didn't actually start. So you found the channel. You found my YouTube for City Skylines, right? And I didn't start playing City Skylines or PC gaming until about a decade ago. I built my first computer. And then maybe 6 to 8 months after City Skylines 1 released, 2015, early 2016 is when I started playing that game. But It's been a weird history for me for gaming because, like I said, I was never really allowed to as a kid. I mean, we lived in a neighborhood. We'd go outside and play bikes until the street lights started coming on. That kind of cliche, But
Yeah.
Having gotten older and kind of realizing that there's a big, wide array of games that you can play and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of my experience with gaming. I wasn't allowed, and then I started making my own money. It was just like, I'm gonna do what I want, but not like a super rebellious way. Like there are games that I won't play just out of like I made a joke earlier, but like legitimately out of principle, I won't play certain games, just because first of all they're not appealing to me, and I just content and stuff like that. I'm not too big a fan of some content of some games, but like yeah, it wasn't really frowned upon. I did get a Game Boy Advance SP though.
Okay.
I talked my parents into getting me a Game Boy Advance, and I got Lego Star Wars, the original trilogy.
I have a distinct memory. We had some family friends growing up where like we were allowed to play video games, but the way that it came about was through like CD-ROM, like educational stuff on our computers.
Yeah,
so we had that. We didn't have a console until the Wii. And even then, we got it a little bit late, like not on release. We got it from like one of my dad's coworkers, I think. But we had some family friends, and they were way more strict on that sort of thing on video games. And I distinctly remember these two brothers taking us into their room and like closing the door and booting up their PC. They had like a deer hunting game that they weren't supposed to have. And like anytime any of the parents, like the moms were like talking like out in the living room and like came to check on us or like knock on the door, they'd like scramble, like turn everything off. But yeah, they had like a hunting game that like apparently they weren't supposed to have or play. And it was like the the forbidden game.
That's funny.
I found your videos because there was a channel that a previous podcast guest and friend of mine, Jonathan, he introduced me to a channel called Veilfisk, where this guy he plays video games, but he usually doesn't play them for their intended purpose. So he'll just, in a really funny sort of twist, he'll find a game and then, as an example, he did Among Us in Satisfactory, where there are two people in the group who are deleting stuff in the factory and trying to halt production while everyone else is trying to get to a certain mile marker within a time limit. And if they don't get to a certain mile marker within the game, like after 3 hours, they lose. So like there's two people basically trolling, but they can be voted out if enough people are like, okay, every time you turn your character over to the right, something disappears. Like it's clearly you. But he made a video called I Have No Mouth, But I Must Traffic. And it's City Skylines 2, where he's trying to make like the most cursed like transportation like routes, because I think he was trying to cause crashes. He was trying to see if he could make like literally the worst transportation system possible. And I think that was how I found your channel. It was in like the recommendeds, since it was a City Skylines 2 video.
Right.
And I'm always on the lookout for potential podcast guests, but also just like smaller creators who are into something that's very niche. And like obviously I know that City Skylines isn't all you play, but in the broad spectrum of channels that I'm subscribed to on YouTube, I was like, well, I'm not subscribed to any gaming channels that do city building stuff. Like that was like new for me. And something that I've talked about before on this podcast, something that I mentioned a couple episodes ago, is like it's so easy to hate things. And so I have such a profound respect for people who unapologetically enjoy something because it brings them joy, and they don't really care about the hubbub going on around it. Obviously, I'm talking about with City Skylines 2, it was sort of interesting as an outsider looking at the fan base. And then on your video, seeing the recommended videos to the side being like, City Skylines 2 sucks. It's all terrible. It's this awful thing. And then your response to some of that backlash of like, it's not perfect. There's still a lot of problems, but let's give the developers a chance to make corrections. And I think like, obviously, with some companies like Blizzard or just some companies, that trust is a little bit harder to reach down inside of yourself and like find.
Yeah.
But the fact that like they made the first game and you really enjoyed the first game, the fact that you're not immediately jumping onto that hate bandwagon, I have so much respect for you for that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think gamers, we're a fickle people. We really are. Like we expect a certain level of things sometimes, and then whenever a product doesn't meet our personal check boxes, we write it off. Granted, there were some pretty glaring issues at launch with City Skylines 2, and I don't want people to think that my positivity surrounding the game is me being ignorant of the fact that there were issues or that there are problems. No, there are issues and there are problems.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a way to constructively hold the developers and hold the publisher accountable to it.
Yeah.
And I'm just not convinced that the game's a scam, the game is trash, they should never have released this game, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that kind of rhetoric is really constructive or helpful or gonna get, like, if anything, like for me personally, when someone talks to me like that, it makes me like lock in and like, all right, well, thank you for letting me know how you feel, and everything you say moving forward, I'm going to completely disregard.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. It's like, if you can't offer constructive criticism, you're just complaining. If your approach to an issue with a game, and let's just think about it, it's a video game. In the grand scheme of your life, right? In the grand scheme of everything you've got going on, it does not matter.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it's just a game, right? And you play games to have fun. I play games to enjoy the game. I understand problems. There are many issues. There are many problems. They're getting fixed. They're getting resolved. The big one now is the console release, and Colossal Order and Paradox have been like, we're aiming for a console release and at this date and this month, this year. And it's just about every time they post something, even if it's just like a general, like, look at one of the things I love that Colossal Order does on Instagram and Twitter is they get a collage of screenshots from the community for that week.
Oh,
and
that's
then they
cool.
post it, and then they post it on Friday. But you'll have like multiple comments like, win console. And it's like, well, they've said it like 3 or 4 times now. This date. You can go back and read the thing. But yeah, there are problems, right? There are problems with a lot of stuff that people enjoy. And you need, and it's not so much, we don't want to ignore the issues, right? We don't want to ignore a problem. If there's an issue, if there's a problem, we want to tell the developer so they can fix it.
Yeah.
But it's like the representation, the manner in which you bring that to their attention, and at some point you gotta understand that they're aware too.
Yeah.
And it's not, like you just gotta play the game, and if you don't want to play the game, then you don't have to play the game.
Yeah. Well, I think you struck a very good balance of it never came across in the videos where you would address it. It never came across as though you were white knighting for Colossal or anything like that. Like,
Right.
It never came across that way. And I think the most telling thing is the developer acting in good faith. Like when they refunded people for that DLC.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like if they were as horrible as you're making them out to be, they never would have done that. Like, clearly they're aware that they didn't meet expectations, and doing like refunding and stuff like that isn't like, that doesn't absolve you of everything, but if nothing else, it shows that you're acting in good faith, at least. Like,
for sure.
It shows a level of action.
Yes.
Instead of just talking about, well, we plan to do this and we're sorry. It's like, no, we're actually going to take action on this, and we're going to do something that does not benefit us monetarily, just to lay our cards on the table and show that it's about, like, what we actually care about is making a quality thing instead of grabbing your money and running.
For sure. Yeah, there was a big talk among several larger content creators in the space about how, like, we could use an apology. and I, to an extent, I agree. Like, the game didn't launch in a good spot. They didn't launch well. the performance was very bad, and not fixing things. But then pushing a DLC that cost, it was $10. I bought it. I didn't mind. I want to support the developers so they can help make the game better, so they can fix the game and improve the game. So I bought the DLC, but they refunded the DLC. So I was like, oh, sweet, $10. But but yeah, like they're aware. They're aware. They did come out and apologize, and it's just so funny because like people were asking for an apology. And then they were like, here's an apology. And then it's like some of the same people were like, that's not good enough. I'm like, come on, man.
It's like, what do you want them to do? Fly to your house and grovel?
And I think it was Biffa that said something in a recent video along the lines of, we need to move past the game should have launched better argument. He said something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing because I can't quite remember. But that's something that I've been saying for a while. It's like we're in June of 2024. The game's been out for about 8 months, 10 months at this point. We need to move forward and get off of the whole, it shouldn't have launched this way. Well, it did, and they're fixing it. So like, let's just play the game and put one foot in front of the other and enjoy what we have and just do that. You know, we got to be, it sounds super cliche and it's probably a little preachy, but like, be thankful that you have the game. Like we were asking for Cities 2 well before Cities 1 even ended. We were like, when are we getting it? When are we getting it? And now we have it, and we can't appreciate the time and the work that the devs put in to get it to us. Again, not negating the issues. I'm not saying that there are no problems, that we should just gloss right over them. We should hold the developers accountable, the publisher accountable for a lackluster product. But at the same time, there's a way to do it.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Leaving horrible comments in YouTube videos, harassing people on Instagram and Twitter is not the way to do that.
Yeah.
And at this point, the one thing that the game kind of lacks, in my opinion, is more like assets for detailing, and a few like underlying issues that I'm not 100% caught up the speed of, but like some of the simulation aspect of the game's kind of still kind of messed
janky.
up. But they're fixing it. They're coming out with a huge patch that's going to fix it. But I'm glad that we got an apology, and I'm glad that they issued the refund, because it, like you were saying, talk is cheap. Like at some time, like especially, I feel like people now, especially gamers now, are like, we've heard so many companies apologize and not actually do anything about it. But to see Colossal Order Paradox do that, and they're a relatively small studio, I think less than 30 people making Cities 2, to that level of customer service, to apologize, whether or not people believe the apology, that's not on Colossal Order Paradox, that's on whoever is listening. And then for them to issue a refund, not many game devs are going to do that. Not many publishers are going to do that.
Yeah, that's rare. That's very rare.
Yeah, to see them do that, it's like a big thumbs up for me personally.
Yeah. Well, I've just enjoyed watching your City Skylines, both series, like Blackshire and Orden's Fen have been so like, I want to visit both of these places now. Like, it's been so cool, like watching through the series and seeing both towns sort of evolve. Yeah. It's just like been so, it's scratching an itch in my brain I didn't know existed, of like watching a town be built up in like iterations of just like, okay, we're gonna work on this for this episode, we're gonna build this area up, we're gonna make it look really nice. I love like beautifying areas and like taking something that's really rough and wild and just sort of like working with the nature of it and sort of finding a balance of like, we want nature to still be in there, we want to find a way to put humans in this spot, but it's gonna still work with the surrounding area, that's gonna look nice. And like I've mentioned before, like in comments under your videos, I feel like you've done a really good job of balancing like the utility of what you're trying to do with the aesthetics of what you're trying to do. And I think that's really cool, and sort of bridging our conversation on like your whole attitude towards the game. I've really enjoyed some of the more recent videos where you've like covered a topic while you're playing. I think that's so cool, because it's not like there's a lot of people online who make videos that it's not that they don't give anybody anything. Like they'll have thousands of views, but like somebody who does like non-commentary of an entire game, right? Where like it's literally just footage of somebody playing the game and nothing else. It's just somebody's playing through of a game. And not to knock that at all, because that has its own audience.
Yes.
But I appreciate the fact that you're not just playing the game. It's you're playing the game and you're trying to teach and you're trying to build people up. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, it was the episode where I built the college in Blackshire. I think the episode's titled "Be Teachable."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, this would be a fun little way to like kind of give a life lesson while I'm building university, because it's kind of a pun, right? Teachable, learn at the university. But like the whole gist of the episode was like, don't be one of those people that can't be told anything because you feel like you've got it all figured out already. Like leave room for like if you might be an older person. Like I've been out of college for almost a decade now, right? I've not had any quote formal education in quite a while, but like I've not stopped learning even, well into my career, well into City Skylines. I'm still learning things. Like the moment that you decide that you don't want to learn anything anymore is the moment that you just kind of stop being an interesting human being. Learning to learn new skills, like keep looking up how to do things. Like I don't know how to really edit a video, so I'm learning that as I go along, and that's kind of like my approach to things. And we all know those people who are kind of like know-it-all type, and they're just not fun to be around. Like they're just not fun to be around, and I don't want to be known as an unteachable person anyway. Like I want to be known as somebody who like is receptive to correction, who's receptive to maybe I see what you're doing, right? But let's take a look at it from this way. I don't want to get to a point where I'm like, blah, I know everything better than you. That's just like that doesn't help anybody. Like being teachable, being humble enough to know. And this is probably one of my favorite things that I said, and I didn't even plan it because I really don't plan anything on my videos. I need to take a look at that because sometimes I'm like scatterbrained, but also it's kind of the charm. But like, be humble enough to know that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
That's the whole juxtaposition of that episode was like, just realize that you don't have it all figured out, and that is okay.
Yeah.
That is totally fine. You don't need to have everything figured out. That's why people exist. That's why you've got friends and family who've seen things, who've been there, who've done that. And then in my most recent episode, I think it's my most recent episode, it's about failing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is okay to make mistakes. It just is. Sometimes it's okay to not get it right the first time. It would be nice if we got it right the first time every time.
No
but that's
kidding.
not the way life works. And what do we do when we fail, right? What do we do when we mess up, when we fall short? We get back up and we try again.
Yeah.
That's simple.
And I think that example too, specifically like when it comes to being teachable and being humble, I think giving that as an example is great because it also helps open up a space for people to emulate that. Like they can sort of take their cues from other people. If more people did that, it shows people that it's okay to be teachable. It's okay to not know everything. And you don't have to project anything false. It's like you sort of you normalize that by just like being curious and just like trying to learn at all times. And that's super, super cool. So going back to video games here, I'm curious because I know that you don't just play City Skylines too. You're talking about your whole gaming history.
Yes.
What are some of your favorite games that you've played? And I'll put a limiter on this because it's a huge question. Let's say over the past 3 years.
Ooh, 3 years. Okay. Oh, had we expanded the timeline, I would have said Battlefield 4 is my all-time favorite video game. A little outside the 3-year period, but
That's
Battlefield, Battlefield 4 hands down my favorite video game of all time. I do like City Skylines. My gosh, 800 something hours in City Skylines. 890. I'm looking at the terminal right now. 890.6 hours in City Skylines 1 from 2015. Whew, shoosh. I've been playing Elden Ring a ton.
Oh, okay.
I never thought that I would enjoy playing Elden Ring. So satisfying when you finally defeat that one boss you've been trying to fight for like 12 years. My goodness. What else do we have? I have reconnected my racing wheel and pedals to my PC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'm kind of playing racing games. I'm a big fan of Need for Speed.
Okay.
I especially love Need for Speed Heat. My goodness, that was a fun game. That really set me on the course to want to try to pursue like more sim racing type stuff too. I'm kind of on and off Call of Duty, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of on and off. It's just some of the design choices that they've made with the franchise, I just don't agree with. So I'm just like, I'm not gonna play that. That's frustrating.
Yeah.
But I've been playing Armored Core. I've been playing Elden Ring. Skyrim is still something that I regularly enjoy going back to.
Oh, dude, it's been so long. I can't wait to do a playthrough of that again.
I'm thinking for Skyrim, a series. I'm thinking about doing a series.
Dude, I would watch the heck out of you playing Skyrim.
Okay, so you know the whole gist of Skyrim, right? You're the Dragonborn. But here's the where this is the angle I want to approach the series. So you have the Bard's College.
Oh no, I don't like where this is
Skyrim,
going.
But the whole motivation for the character is just wanting to go to college, but he gets caught up in all of the side shenanigans, and he just wants to go to college.
The series is just called like fill in the blank character goes to school or goes to college. That is such a funny idea.
And it's just like I don't know if anybody's ever done it, and if they have, I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, so I'll just make it my own. But I just think that would be hilarious.
That would be if like the whole thing is just like you need to like fund your next semester, so you go off on all these side quests. Like you need to go find gold hoards to pay for school.
Yes. I don't want to clear this bandit camp. I want to go to college.
I just want to buy some number 2 pencils.
And then you find yourself being followed by this weird companion who you just met, and now she's following you around everywhere, and you're just like, do you know where's Solitude? I need to go to the Bard's Cottage. And you're clearly not helping because you just stand there and stare at me the entire time. Why do you not blink? But yeah, I just think it'd be funny to do like a series, like a Skyrim series where the whole motivation of the character is like, I just want to go to college.
That would be so funny if like every single educational place across the Skyrim map, you make like a very specific intention of going there and learning something.
Yeah, that would like it's been on my ideas list in my brain for like a while now.
That's so good. I would watch that. I would watch that definitely. Would you do any mods or would you just go straight up vanilla?
Ooh, I'd probably stick with vanilla. I don't have any issues with using mods, but I like the unadulterated experience of vanilla Skyrim.
The only mod that, well, I think there was 2 mods that I used when I played it just, on my own personal time.
Yeah.
One was a mod that allowed me to have an infinite number of companions.
Ooh.
But I wouldn't use them in combat. It was just so that way they wouldn't keep going back to wherever they were from whenever I dismissed them. So you could tell them, you could give them new commands. So you could go to one of your houses in one of the many towns where like you're a jarl or like you've been set up there.
Yeah.
And you could just have them stay in your residence. And so like you could sort of have like a companion hall. It was kind of cool. So they'd all stay safe all together, cleaning stuff, like hanging out, cooking stuff in the house. So that way, like, you can always just return and hang out with them. So you don't have to go find them again. Yeah. But I was also super paranoid about one of them dying or something glitching out in combat. So I would always be like second guessing, do I want to take them into combat or are they going to die? Like, I don't want that to happen. Granted, I knew how to work the console. So if they did, it was never a problem. Yeah. But so there was that. And then I downloaded a mod for the Stones of Baranzaya because I almost punched my computer when I realized that quest was still just like lingering in my open quest thing. Yeah. I was like, I can't. So I downloaded a mod that gives you all the locations of them across the entire map, the entire game. It's like that is one of the most annoying quests because
like 24 of them.
They're so small. Like the Stones of Baranzaya, are literally some of the ones that I found. I was like, I would literally have never found this unless I had this mod ever.
It is there, and it's like I remember the first time I found one, I was just like, it was just pure happenstance. Now I'm like, this be like the end result of this quest better be worth it. And to this day, from like normal Skyrim from 2011 to the special edition on every platform I have it on, I've never completed that quest.
I finished it and I don't remember what I got for it. It probably wasn't worth it.
I've Googled it.
You did?
I'm like, what is the point of the quest of the Stones of Baranzaya? And you get a hat, a crown. But you get a crown with all the stones in it, but you get a hat, right? You just wear it. I don't even know what it does. But flipping the companions in Skyrim, the only one that I really ever use is Lydia.
Yeah, Lydia's awesome. Lydia's awesome.
Ooh. One time I yeeted her off the side of a mountain. She got in the way, and I was supposed to dying an enemy, and she as I'm holding the button to get it to work, she crosses behind it, and there she goes off the side of this mountain, and I'm like, well, whoops.
I hope she's durable.
Yeah, just sometimes, and it's funny too, because sometimes they'll and this is with most Bethesda games, you'll have your companion, your follower, and you'll be doing work in a dungeon, and you turn around and they're just not there. And you're like, what is this? Is this Schrodinger's follower? You're both here and you're not? What is going on? Wait, I need you.
Schrodinger's companion.
I'm like, I don't. They're just gone. And then I was playing maybe a week or so ago, and I retraced my steps for 400 yards, and she's trying to walk into the side of a cliff or something. I'm like, man, facepalm.
So my cousin and I, we created an Argonian that we called Burf Madurf. And Burf Madurf, he found some sort of enchantment exploit that he wasn't cheating. Yeah. It was in the game where you could basically, if you wear certain gear, all of your enchantments are better. And if you do that, you can enchant something a ridiculous number of times.
Yes.
And so there was a pair of gauntlets that did an obscene amount of damage if you just punched with them. But the problem was, with all the gear that we had on, we had something for nearly limitless stamina, nearly limitless magic. I don't even remember what that meter's called. Magicka? What's it called in Skyrim? The blue meter.
It's Magicka.
Magicka. Yeah. So we had the most OP character. Burf Madurf, he was fast, he was insanely strong, he was an idiot. We loved him. We never gave him armor. He never died because he had almost limitless health. He was just running around in his loincloth. And we made him the smallest, least intimidating character. And there was one of the dragon priests.
Yes.
We were trying to fight him, and he was flying around all crazy. And we're Jonah was just screw it. So he unequips the weapon, gets the gauntlets out. But when he does that, our weight carry capacity was reached. So Burf Madurf is walking super slow-mo, and we just slowly backed the dragon priest into a corner and did the slowest punch possible. And I kid you not, as soon as we made contact, we just turned the dragon priest to ash. Instant dead with the slowest punch possible. Yeah, Burf Madurf is one of the most cursed things that we ever made. And yeah, he lives rent-free in my nightmares.
That's so good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'll make a fun. It won't be the Jimbo goes to college in Skyrim. Probably won't be something that happens immediately because I need to record everything. But that sounds like it would be fun to do.
Oh, dude, I'd watch that. I feel like I would. There's a very specific subset of videos, and this sort of goes back to some of the stuff that Veilfist does that I appreciate. Is I want to, if I'm spending all this time, if I've bought a game and I've spent all the time of going through the game just regularly, I think it would be really fun to try and pair that experience with some sort of nonsense video that maybe I spend more time editing. That's some sort of mod or qualifier or personal challenge or something ridiculous that takes place with that game. It's if I've already got it downloaded, I might as well try and make another one-off video on the game, but use it in a way that the game wasn't necessarily made for. Yes. And again, not breaking it or anything, but just like, what's the most entertaining, weird, random thing I can do with the game that the game wasn't designed for?
Yeah, I like the idea. Like it, I feel like I want to bring in more content to the channel, to YouTube, to Twitch. And I think that would be a fun way to do that. Like you're saying, take something that people are familiar with, but then making it my own.
Yeah,
My own
I
little
think,
spin on it.
and like I said, I would watch pretty much any game that you would play just because I appreciate your commentary, but also just like at the end of a day when I get back from work, like I look forward to your uploads because it's just like a very calm thing. I can sit down with a bowl of cereal and just watch your videos, and it's so much fun. Well, before we wrap up the video, there's a question it's my favorite question. I love to ask this.
Yes.
If you had, if money was no object, and you could take yourself and like a small group of friends, and you could go to any place and have it completely emptied out of people, and you had it for 24 hours, what sort of place would you go to? Doesn't have to be a specific place, but like just completely empty, no people there, just you and your friends. Where would you go?
I'm gonna be honest. I would, for 24 hours, I kind of would just probably go to the beach where I grew up. And just chill. And just chill.
A private beach.
Why the beach? So have you ever seen, is it X-Men First Class?
I think my brother just watched it recently. I don't think I've seen it.
The beach that they filmed some of those scenes on is the beach that's basically where I grew up.
No way.
Yeah. Jekyll Island is the name of the island. I'll terminal it really quick.
That's such a cool name.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably just go home for a day. I do miss it. I just miss the vibes. Yeah, that's probably what I do. I take family, a few friends down there, just go hang out, sit on the beach for a day. Pet the turtles. You can't do that. Actually, so never mind. Can't pet the turtles. The Jekyll Island is where the Georgia Sea Turtle Center is. And
really?
Yeah. And they're big into sea turtle conservation, and it's so fun, so cool.
Holy cow! I'm looking at a picture of like some of the vistas.
Yes.
Of Jekyll Island is like incredibly beautiful. So like the idea of like having that to yourself is such a cool notion. I love that. That's such a cool answer.
Yeah, I think some of the pictures are Driftwood Beach, kind of on the far end from where most people park. But it's just a chill, nice place right on the water.
Your Blackshire series makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, Blackshire is based on another town that's like about an hour west, inland, literally due west from where the island is that I lived.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you ever do take a trip down there, you got to send me some pictures of Jekyll Island.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Well, thank you so much for being willing to be a guest on the podcast. Thank you for allowing me to peruse your wares in this infinite supply closet.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast. Thank you for entering my utility closet. I'm going to have to like up my stock of sticky notes, I think. And then perhaps even get some more like fun paperclip shapes.
More fun than the animal ones.
Yes. We have squirrels, but I think we need different varieties of woodland creatures. I need to watch some Disney princess movies to get an idea.
Good call. Good call. Well, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, and good luck with what you create, and I can't wait to see what you make next.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it. So thank you all so much for listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.